Hello YouTube, Robert Alvarez the Psychic Witch, also known as Mr. Lighting and a Fan. The time is approximately 1:25 p.m. I know, another early day video, and the date is Friday, June 28th, 2019. The Sun is transiting in Cancer, sign of the Mother, Human Mother and Divine, and the Moon is waning in Taurus. I love waning moons. Waning moons are excellent for shadow work, and I feel more psychically connected when the moon is waning. Some of the most accurate and insightful readings I've ever conducted have been during a waning moon. Now, please, those of you who are divinely guided and intuitively led to have a reading with me, don't feel that you have to wait until the moon is waning. I'm sharing a personal observation that I have found for myself. When the moon is waning, my readings are more accurate, my connection to goddesses, gods, my psychic guides, my guardian angels, they're stronger. I find that my magic is more potent. My ritual work and spellcraft is more alive and more energized. But again, you need to honor what works for you. And what works for you is what works for you. Not what works for you is what works for me, and vice versa. Sometimes that's the case, but I digress. So, as I mentioned, I am doing a lot of catch-up, and one of my favorite videos has been to work with Llewellyn's tarot-themed wall calendars. By the way, this is an annual, and according to the 2019 Llewellyn's tarot calendar, let me try that again. According to my copy of Llewellyn's 2019 tarot catalog, the 2020 edition of this calendar will be published next month in July of 2019. Historically, I have found that all of their annuals, their sun sign book, their moon sign book, my beloved daily planetary guide with the spiral spine, and of course Jennifer Ball's favorite Spell a Day book. They're usually published in either July or August. So any 2020 annual published by Llewellyn, it'll either be published next month in July of 2019 or August of 2019. And unfortunately, I'm sorry, my awesome audiovisual person is doing something that distracts me. So he's going to stop doing it, right? He nodded his head yes. Okay, so I have no new subscribers yet. But I want to share with you March. And it's really interesting because even though this is June, I find it interesting that in March of this year, I began experiencing what I would call, I began experiencing what a lot of people would call a healing crisis. But as an energy healing practitioner, I know that a healing crisis is not the same as what a lot of people would call a healing crisis. What I have found is that a lot of things about my physical health, my emotional health, and my spiritual health were coming up for me. And what I realized eventually was that, number one, I found and I discovered, and in some cases rediscovered, that there are certain things that stopped working for me. And again, not just with regards to my physical health. For a very long time, I really do believe in the interconnectedness of body, mind, and soul. And reconnecting with Louise L. Hay's writings on physical, emotional, and spiritual health and well-being was a part of that. So the fact that this is what came out for March is no coincidence. And it is interesting. I did look for the Fae Tarot. I have had the Fae Tarot for several years. I couldn't find it. Otherwise, I would have happily used the Fae Tarot for this particular spread. Okay, so we have issues with the cards, the Death card, and an inner healing spread, which I'm really excited about. So I want to talk a little bit about the Death card first. So I think it's safe to say that the Death card is one of the 3 cards of the Major Arcana that freak people out the most. The other 2 being the Tower and the Devil. But there's something about the Death card that I've never felt uncomfortable with it. Because whenever I see the Death card, I know that one of its esoteric interpretations is divine transformation. And I have shared, maybe not so much in my YouTube videos, but I've shared this in my events, I've shared this in my classes and courses, and I've shared this on Instagram about the butterfly. And I still remember that amazing, phenomenal, consecrated candle that Stevie Chrysanthemum made for me at Catland almost 2 years ago. And it was this rich royal purple candle with this gloriously gorgeous monarch butterfly on it. And I don't remember offhand, oh, that's what it was. I felt that I was entering a period of great change. And I was entering a period of divine transformation, and a lot of new doors were opening up for me. And I also knew that I wanted to do something that I didn't wind up doing anyway, but I was prepared for it. And I don't mind sharing what it was. I truly believe that that year was going to be the year that I moved from my current residence to my new residence. And that fell through. And that's totally not a problem. I know those things happen. And I'm not as upset about it now as I was then. But I just remember I wanted to be ready for these changes because I felt that I was beginning a new cycle of a lot of changes. And I wanted those changes to be as non-overwhelming as possible. And there have been a lot of changes in my life this year that have been very overwhelming emotionally, that have been very frustrating emotionally, and I know that they're necessary changes. And I'm dealing with how much patience I need to give myself regarding those changes. And I don't mind telling you, some of them have been difficult, but I know that they've all been necessary as part of my physical health and well-being, my emotional healing, my soul growth. So I'm not afraid of the Death card. The Death card for me really is about transformation. Now I'm going to read what the Barbara Moore wrote about it. The Death card is perhaps the best, this Death card is perhaps the best Death card I've ever seen. The designer wrote, "The face of death was greatly influenced by the Sandman comics by Neil Gaiman, who's brilliant. I love his books. When this card was still in progress, I asked the artist to give it a face I could fall in love with." Okay, look at that face. 2 eyes, different colors, the sun and moon pendant, the chessboard. I'm going to ask my audiovisual person if I'm holding this up the right way. Okay, so look at that Death card. That has to be a phenomenal Death card. And this fairy is just like, and what? Like it's death. Deal with it, bitches. I mean, that's a look on her face. It's like, like really, like whatever. Or is it male? I'm going to call them gender fluid. How's that? I'm going to call them gender fluid. How's that? Issues with the cards. It is normal when first learning tarot to find some cards or even entire suits that you just don't like or even actively hate. Tarot is not just a divinatory system. It is a spiritual journey. I need to start reminding my clients of that. Because the tarot really is a spiritual journey. It is a sacred tool for empowerment. It's not just divination. And I think a lot of us forget that as well. Those of us that have been working with the sacred tarot, I think we forget that. Because sometimes even I forget that. Now, cards that bug you are an invitation to explore that reaction. So if you are bothered by the Death card, what is it about the Death card that bothers you? Is it the imagery of that particular Death card? Is it something on the Death card? Is it the color scheme? Maybe you need to work with a different tarot deck. or look at other death cards and other tarot decks and see which one, or is it just the word death? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe the word death is like a trigger for you. Or maybe it evokes in you some kind of emotional trauma. Maybe you almost died and you never recovered from that emotional trauma. See, I've almost died several times in my life. And I don't mind sharing that with you. And it's not just because of stuff that I've had with my heart, my physical heart. It's because there have been times in my life where I was in danger. And I still remember at the age of 12, somebody racing after me in his car, trying to abduct me. And I'm 49 now, and I'll be almost 50 in less than 6 months. Well, I am almost 50. And, you know, that trauma's healed for me. But I still remember it. And every once in a while it comes up for me like, oh, okay. But I remember this guy was driving backwards in a station wagon. And I didn't like the look on his face. And I didn't like that he was running after me in his car. Like he was literally, I was running in that direction, and he was driving backwards in the same direction. And I freaked out. Even just now talking about it, I can feel like tingles on my head. So there have been times that I almost died in this lifetime. And I've lost count. And I know to the marrow of my bones, I am not ready to exit this earth. Because if I was, I wouldn't be here now. And let me assure you, if I had been meant to exit the earth, this would have been the year. And I would not be here right now. So with that being said, I'm not afraid of the death card. Because I know the death card has its mysteries, it has its sacred truths, and it has its divine wisdoms. And I think that the death card is going to be an opportunity for me to engage in a deep meditation as I'm doing this around the face of the sacred fae. If you have an issue with a card or suit, work it out, learn, and expand your understanding. And you know what? It's funny because I'm actually going to begin doing something that I've never done before. And I'm going to begin doing it next Tuesday, July 2nd, 2019, which is the date of both the new moon and the solar eclipse in Cancer. I haven't decided if I'm going to share it publicly or keep it to myself. I might do both after a while, but I do feel led to do this. And I must admit, part of me is divinely inspired by Owl Moon 513. She has been one of my favorite metaphysical YouTubers for several years, and her videos have divinely inspired mine, many of mine. So I want to acknowledge her for everything she does for me. Okay, so with that, I'm going to cast the cards. Although I'm not using the Sacred Fae Tarot, I am using a Llewellyn published tarot deck. And I'm going to wait until my awesome audiovisual person is ready. And then I want to show you this wonderful pouch. Okay, I don't know what he's saying to me, but are you ready to lower the camera? Okay, so you can do that now, please. Thank you. So I love the pouches made by Peggy, who is the wife of Lisa of Supportive Tarot. But I also love the pouches made by Wild Child Creations. And this is one of their exclusive designs. It's like tarot on the go. You can give yourself a 3-card or a 4-card spread and lay it out like this. I love this. So one of my all-time favorite tarot decks is the Robin Wood Tarot. And yes, it is one of the tarot decks that I'm going to be using during the next new moon and dark to dark moon phase. So I'm going to shuffle the deck, and as I shuffle the deck I want to say a few things. First, I call upon the great goddess. I call upon the goddesses, the gods, the ascended masters, the archangels, the angels, the sacred fae, the elementals, the saints, my ancestors, and all the powers of the universe to be with all of us here and now, as I cast these cards. And the second Amun, Amen, and so must it be. And secondly, although I'm doing this reading primarily for myself, it is possible that some of this reading may resonate with you. And if it does, by all means let me know in the comments. It doesn't happen with everybody, but it does happen from time to time. And if you feel like it did resonate with you very strongly, feel free to share that in the comments. Okay, they're telling me that's it. So I'm going to cut the deck into 3 piles. And I'm being divinely guided to place the 3rd pile on top of the 1st, and those 2 on top of the 2nd. Okay, now, I've never done this before, so let me ask, does it matter if I place the thing like this or like that? Are they going to see it the same way? Oh, that works. Okay, so this is the inner healing spread. So I'm going to cast the cards. So, card number 1, what is ready to transform? Card number 2, how to nurture it spiritually. Card number 3, how to nurture it emotionally. Card number 4, how to nurture it intellectually or mentally. Card number 5, how to nurture it physically. Okay, so just to give you an insight, this spread's position is Major Arcana oriented. This one is Wands oriented. This one is Cups oriented. This one is Swords oriented. This one is Pentacles oriented. So I say this because I'll be curious to see if a Major Arcana card shows up here, if a Wands card shows up here, if a Cups card shows up here, if a Swords card shows up here, and if a Pentacles card shows up here. So, what is ready to transform? You can't make this stuff up. It's a Major Arcana card. What is ready to transform? My star, my soul star, my light, my radiance, my aura, my chakras. You know, one thing that I've been divinely guided to say a lot in a lot of my emails and in a lot of my conversations with friends and clients and loved ones is that the time for playing small has ended. Now more than ever, and I'm going to say those of you watching this video, now more than ever, if you've been playing small, the universe is like, too late. It's done. No more playing small. And if you've been playing small in any area of your life, that's it. The universe is like, you're done. If you don't like it, too damn bad. So now more than ever, it's time for you to shine as well. Card number 2, how to nurture this spiritually. What's the inner work? It's a Pentacles card. So how to nurture this? How to nurture this physically? Wait a minute. How to nurture this spiritually? So it is a balance. It's a Pentacles card. So it is a balance between the physical and the spiritual. And it's the 7 of, oh my goddess. It's the 7 of Pentacles card. Years ago, I remember an amazingly powerful reading that my personal psychic advisor Roger Pratt gave me. And he said that the esoteric interpretation of the 7 of Pentacles is rebuilding the spiritual temple. That's not a coincidence. I have been feeling very strongly drawn to refashion, refurnish, recreate all of the altars in my apartment. And clearly I need to begin with, well, see, it's funny because the one that's been on my mind the most has been my Divine Prosperity altar. But I also know that I need to do what I know to be true, meaning beginning with my personal goddess's altar, Osset, and then the Divine Love Healing altar that's in my bedroom. and then other altars that are in my bedroom, and then moving forward to here. And I've also been divinely guided to create an altar for myself, and also an altar for the moon. Because as a moon magic witch, it's amazing that I have yet to create a lunar altar. But make no mistake, that is already changing. How to nurture this emotionally? We have the King of Pentacles. That's really interesting because that's another Pentacles card. I shuffled this deck thoroughly. You saw. King of Pentacles. So for me, I'm going to say this is about changing my relationship with money. Changing my emotional relationship with money. And I must admit, this year I've experienced a lot of soul growth and a lot of prosperity consciousness growth. So I really feel like that needs to continue. And it's so funny because today I was divinely guided to work with a red candle. Red is a root chakra color. And the root chakra has to do with money, security, and safety. So, and I know that the moon is waning, so this is a great time for me to work with this red candle and tweak it so that I can eliminate any lingering obstacles and barriers, both within me and without me, that prevent me from manifesting ever-increasing amounts of financial abundance and divine financial supply. Not to mention money miracles and prosperity gifts and lavish financial surprises. And only good, juicy financial surprises. Okay, how to nurture this intellectually? It's a Cups card. It's so funny because, you know, in Western astrology, the moon sign represents how we emotionally connect with other people. It represents what makes us feel safe and at home. And my moon sign is an Aquarius, the master of emotional detachment. So I look at my moon sign as a bit of a cosmic joke. The planet of emotions in the sign of the master of emotional detachment. So I think that this card is telling me I need to create a balance between when to express my emotions and when to keep them under wraps. And not just verbally, but in writing as well. And then how to nurture this physically. Yes, how to nurture this physically. We have Six of Wands, the card of victory, the card of success. I've often looked at this card as a card of professional success as well. And it's so funny because in the Barbara Walker Tarot deck by Barbara G. Walker, the subtitle on the Six of Wands is Glory, as in spiritual grace and spiritual glory. Final message card is the Two of Cups. So I can honestly say that a lot of my relationships with people that have a strong emotional component are the ones that are going to help me move forward with this. And I have to smile because lately I've been meeting a lot of people that are manifesting divine romances in their lives, or they're beginning to create new growth in their divine romances. It's not a coincidence. I feel there's something else I need to add to this reading. Where are you? Where are you? You're behind me. Oh, you are behind me. So this is another Wild Child Creations pouch. This was a gift from Ona, the living goddess of Wild Child Creations. And it is called the Butterfly Oracle Cards for Life Changes. It's a Doreen Virtue deck, I know. We know that she's not the same person she used to be, but I think it's especially fitting for this reading. And one of my favorite people on the planet, Swan of Dreamers, loves her Angel Answers Oracle cards. So, I call upon the spirits of the land, the spirits of the water, the spirits of air, spirits of fire, and spirits of the universe. What is the final message for this reading? Support. So I am being divinely supported, physically supported, financially supported, and in every way supported. So these transitions and transformations are definitely going to be, they're definitely going to provide me with what I need and more. Okay. I'm going to leave the cards where they are for the moment. And in a few moments, my awesome audiovisual person is going to bring the camera back to me. And I want to talk a little bit about, you can raise the camera now. Thank you so much. So I want to talk a little bit about one of the musical artists that I've begun listening to a lot lately. I hadn't listened to them in such a long time. When it comes to music, I tend to listen to contemporary R&B most of all, a splash of hip-hop and rap, and of course any Cuban music or Afro-Cuban music dating back to the 20s to the 50s. Like Buena Vista Social Club, Ibrahim Ferrer, Celia Cruz, Compay Segundo. One of these days I'll listen to modern Latin American music, like somebody other than Shakira. So, but Journey, I remember growing up with Journey, and their music is amazing, just truly amazing. And, you know, I still remember hearing the story about Steve Perry, and how he had become their lead vocalist because their main lead vocalist wasn't there for that particular rehearsal. So Steve Perry was a fill-in, and he became their newest lead vocalist. It just blows my mind how those things happen. Now, as far as books, I recently began working with 2 books that I hadn't worked with in far too long. So, Book of Hours, Prayers to the Goddess. You can see how well worn this copy is. And its companion book, Book of Hours, Prayers to the God. And I've missed these books terribly. And working with them again has really helped me reconnect with my magic, with so many wonderful deities. And I really love that I'm working with them again. In fact, I'm actually going to share, you know what, I will share just very briefly one of the prayers. And since it's approximately 2 p.m., I'm going to read the evening prayer for Friday. All of these prayers begin with an introit, an introduction. Oh, you can't make this stuff up. What's the first card in the reading? The Star. Hail, Mother of the golden wheat, you of plenty and fertile womb. Breathe thy blessing upon my heart, nourish my soul, that I too may create the world with love. Blessed be. Goddess, Star of the sea, hear me, I pray. Lady of light, show me the way. Jewel of renown, bless me this day. Rose of desire, do not let me stray from thy loving embrace and compassionate grace. Star of the sea, hear me, I pray. Now each one of these also has a meditation. Lay in the grass and watch the clouds float by. What do they look like? What do their shapes and patterns mean to you? And the daily affirmation is, in the name of the All-Mother, I create something today. Terra Mater, Mother of all life, I give thee thanks for thy blessings, the fruit of the vines, the fruit of my spirit, life's abundance. Blessed be. And with that, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, I invite you to give this video a like and a share. You have a lot of options for sharing. And I wish you a beautiful day, a beautiful night, a wonderful weekend, and as always, for you and yours, many bountiful blessings of joy, riches and success, radiance, prosperity and peace, wealth, health and happiness. And as always, thank you.